So when you first sign into your courses, in case if you want to play along, you'll notice the different icons, right? You can access those. And so just to give you the heads up, green, we always want to go for green. The wording that we're getting is we want to be at least 95% for the entire course, right? Each page is going to have its own score. So if I hover over and you see this is green, well, it's telling me it's 100%, which is great, but it can alternate from page to page. But as
Najma,
yes,
sorry to interrupt.
it's okay.
But I'm not seeing your Canvas course. I'm seeing your outline for the talk.
Okay. Let me stop sharing. Thank you for letting me know. You probably,
No
probably don't want
problem.
to see all my behind the scenes notes to myself. Okay, thank you. So let's try this again. Right when I was in the groove too. Dang it. Just kidding. Not there. Home. Let me try it again. Sweet. Why is it not? I swear I have a love-hate relationship with WebEx. Okay, let me know. Let me see. Two. Okay, is it showing? Like now it's just showing my screen, probably.
Yeah, it's the only. Oh, now it showed up.
Is it showing something now?
There's like 4
Kinda
panels.
getting
Oh,
there?
yeah. Now,
Are we
at least
there?
on mine, we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so where was? Okay, so when you sign into your Canvas course, it's going to automatically scan. So you should have these different icons automatically. We want to always go for green, which is 95% or better. Anything below that, which will probably give you a yellow icon. And of course, which means you still have work to do. Red means it's not compliant. So in this case, as you see, once I hover over it, let me see if I can make this bigger so you can see it better. So if I hover over, notice it tells me that it's set 57%, which is an absolute no-no, right? So that's a good starting point in terms of where you want to begin your remediation. That's one way you can access. A lot of times what I like to do, I like to go through my modules and see kind of what the icons are, because then that gives me an idea of what my students are seeing. Now, I will tell you, Panorama does scan your entire course, and it can scan documents that are not seen by students. So one thing I would recommend doing, this is kind of a good thing that this is happening, because it forces us to clear out a lot of our materials in our courses. So if you have things in your courses that's absolutely not needed, I would say, I won't tell you to delete them, but I would say move them out of your Canvas course, because it will calculate that as a score. Okay, so if it's things like PDFs that are just not compliant at all, or other maybe PowerPoints, or things that you really don't necessarily need, I would say make it easier on yourself and just move it. You can move it to your Google Drive, your desktop, or even a thumb drive. I like to utilize my Google Drive just because it's in the cloud and I don't have to worry about, accessing it. It's easy for me to access directly from my Maricopa account. So that's one thing I would recommend when you get started. Just kind of go through and see what needs to be cleaned out, right? Then once you've done that, I would go through your modules and just see what the icons are telling you, right? So I can see now I have some reds, and if I get one that's grayed out, here's the other thing. Panorama does not scan third-party tools. So a lot of us as instructors will use publisher tools, like Newton, Pearson, et cetera, et cetera. It cannot scan that. It's only going to scan what's in Canvas. Okay. Or sometimes if it's gray, it could just be that it hasn't processed. So there are times when if you just hover over it, and it didn't scan it at all. I don't know what's going on. Oh, come on. Don't tell me my computer's acting weird now. Technology. Okay. So if I click on one of the icons, let's say this was 75%, right? But I made some, or let's just say that this is grayed out, but I know that I just made some changes. I could always just reprocess it, and basically it's going to refresh that page to give me the score that I need. So while I'm here, these different options is what's available to students. So basically it's giving you alternative formats for those Canvas pages. Just to give you a heads up too, now we talked about the green icons, we talked about red, yellow, the gray. Now the blue icons, that is what a student will see. And just to let you know, students are not able to see your score, right? So, because I know there was some worry there, like, oh my God, will students be able to see a score for my course? They will not see it. The only thing they'll see, and I could show you, hopefully it doesn't act a fool. Oh, I might have to publish this. Okay, it takes, for some reason, it takes a while for it to process. Basically, the students are only going to, and I'll try to go back and show you. Basically, students will only see, and this is totally published. Oh, no, it's not. Students are only going to see the blue icons. They will not see your score. They won't have access to anything, to touch anything with your class and Panorama. They can only see icons. Okay. So let's go in and just to show you, let's see. Okay, so let's go in. I'm gonna pick a course or pick a page. And I noticed that this is a red icon. So I'm gonna click on this. It's giving me 57%. Okay, what's wrong with this page? All right, so if I click on the icon, again, these are just different options for students. This is what they see. But I see my score is 57%. Okay, if I want to access that, I can either go by selecting my view option, or I can go in and select this dashboard. Either one will take you to the same place. So since I'm here, I'm going to select my icon or the dashboard. I'm sorry, not dashboard, speedometer icon. And it's going to tell me, okay, I have a 57%, one minor score, or excuse me, one minor issue, a major, totaling 2 issues. Now, what I like to recommend, if you see, and it's going to tell you what the issues are, right? And it's going to highlight them here. But I always tell people, if you see a fixed issue button, that's great, because that means you can fix it within Panorama. There are times when you'll get a flag, but you won't be able to fix it in Panorama. So for example, things like PDFs, there's times where you can make the changes in Panorama, but a lot of times you cannot. Again, it goes back to, and I haven't really talked about this, but one thing about PDFs, it usually comes from a source. There's a source file to a PDF. The PDF is just like that output. It's called a portable document format, meaning it's intended to be printed. So it has to come from something, usually a Word document or a Google document. There's an original source file, right? So a lot of us are saying, to try to stay away from PDFs, but really what makes PDFs inaccessible is the original file. So you want to make sure your original file, like your Word doc or Google doc, is accessible before you PDF it. So that's the reason why a lot of times if you bring it into Panorama, it might not give you the ability to fix the issue there. You might have to take it out, go to the original file, or you might have to go into Adobe Acrobat, make the changes and bring it back in. So that's the reason why it just kind of depends on you. How important is that document? Does it have to be in a PDF? Or can you take that file into a Google document, use the new tool, Grapple, that we have, and make your changes and then PDF it and bring it back into your Canvas course. But just giving you those tips to watch out for if you're not able to make those fixes. And I know I'm talking quickly, but is there any questions up until this point? Okay, so we see on this page, there are 2 issues, one major and one minor. Typically what I would recommend, because a lot of these issues, you might not be familiar with what they mean. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of them I'm not familiar with what they mean. So I still have to educate myself on this too, because we're all learning this together. But in this case, it says one major issue, the file name should not be the alternative description. So basically what that means is the description for the file, let me start over. The description for this flower image is basically incorrect. And that means for screen readers. So if I have a student utilizing the screen reader, it's not going to read it properly. So we want the screen readers to reflect what the actual file image should be. Okay. So, and then if I really don't know, then I can always select this learn more button too. This will also tell me what the issue is and how to fix it. What I will say about using this is that it's going to, excuse me, excuse me, it's going to tell you how to fix it in the code. Now, if you feel comfortable with using code HTML, by all means, but a lot of people like to just use the fix button, which is what I would recommend. That way you don't have to worry about trying to navigate the code unless you feel comfortable. But I'm gonna play this just so you can see what it says.
The item file name should not be the...
Can you guys hear that okay? Before I paused it? Okay, I'm assuming
Yeah,
so.
we can hear it. Yeah,
Okay,
we can hear it.
awesome. Thank you.
alternative description. How to resolve alternative description issues. Images and objects should have a descriptive alternative text that accurately describes the item to allow accessibility tools such as screen readers to work effectively. In Canvas, click the HTML editor icon.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there because then it goes back into the HTML. Again, if you feel comfortable with playing with the code, by all means. In this case though, since I'm gonna back out. Since it has a fix issue button, I'm not even gonna worry about the HTML because I'm gonna just push this button here and provide that alternative text. So basically what I need to do is say what this image is or what I want students to know about this description. I can either think of something that I want them to know, or I can utilize AI and see what AI generates. Or I could say, you know what? I don't need well, actually no, I need to generate this. Let me hit the generate button and see what it does. Okay, so AI would generate a text, close up, okay, a vibrant yellow tulips. Sure, I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep that as a fix. Oh, here it is. What I could do though is, let's just say this image was not really relevant to the learning, right? Maybe it's just decorative. I can always just select this image as decorative and not even worry about a description. Keep in mind, again, the descriptions is only for screen readers. So if it's not really important, I could just say, this is a descriptive image. I don't have to worry about it, and just make that change there, make the fix there. So I'll go ahead and say add fix. Okay, so now it's telling me the link should have a descriptive title, right? So this is just a minor issue. But what it's saying is, you want to give it an actual name and not just this long, ugly URL, because the screen reader is going to read, www.google.com/, right? And that's not really helpful. So you want to actually describe what this link is. So I could say here, let's give it a description and say, to provide an alternative description for this link. Okay, we can say this is, just say www. Or we just say this is Google website. Something that makes sense to a student once they use a screen reader. Okay, so we'll go ahead, and again, it's marked as a minor issue, but I'm trying to be in the mindset of just making the changes as I go. So we'll add fix, proceed to review. Okay, so it's giving me like a recap, apply fixes. It's doing this thing. Yay, you get the confetti. Now, one thing I'll say, now we got 100%, which is great, but I will give you the heads up. Just because it gives you the confetti doesn't mean that it's compliant and it's 100%. It gives you the confetti because you've fixed something, right? And I feel like the confetti is a little misleading because it's like, it makes you feel like, oh, yay, I'm compliant. I've got 100% score, but you might have still only got 80 or whatever. So just give you a heads up not to rely on the confetti. I think it's more of a satisfaction thing. So, okay, we got 100% on that. I can just close or go back, close out. Yay, we got our 100. Awesome. Table of contents. Okay, this one is going to have more issues. I probably won't go through each one of them, but just to show you, let's click on the red icon here. Okay, so this one has 11 issues. All right, so let's see what some of those are. Okay, I can tell you right now, this, here, let's do this. I'm gonna show you what the page looks like and then we'll go back. All right, so let's click on this page because it looks kind of like a big blob. So let's see what that is. All right, so if I go to my, so that, this here was the blob that it highlighted. So if I click on, I can either access, I can go back to my modules, or what, since I'm here, I can also access the icon from the top of my page. So if I click, if you notice, once I hover over, it's telling me I'm getting a 65% score on this page. Again, just for the page, not for the course. So let's go ahead and select that. And let's go view. All right, so that blob was this. So as we saw, it was just a banner. So I'm going to say, okay, so we see 65, 5 minor, 6 major issues. Okay, so it's telling me the file name, again, the same situation, file name should not be an alternative. So let's go fix the issue. And, oh, in this case, it's decorative. It's just a banner. I'm going to just say this is banner. It's nothing really pertinent to the learning. So we'll say yes, or hit apply fixes. It's telling me there's 2 instances. Let's do add fix. Now this one here, right? So let's say maybe this is something that's relevant to the learning and it's not just a decorative image. I could either add, you know, again, sleeping, cute, panda, or I can generate, and we'll say add fix. Okay, this is the same scenario again. Remember how we said it doesn't like long, funky URLs because of the screen reader is going to throw students off. So I'm going to give it a name. We'll just say YouTube how to Canvas. Okay. Now I could, let's just say it was the same URL. I could add this change to all, but it's not the same. We have different URLs. So I'm just going to say add fix. Same thing, how to Canvas, how to fix. Add fix. Why did we should have did something? Twitter, which is now X. Okay. Instagram. Is it not fixing? Okay. Let's see. Add. Okay. Let's see. This is telling me insufficient contrast for colors. So a lot of times with your color scheme, you want to make sure that for students that are colorblind, that the colors aren't like bright, right? There needs to be contrast between the colors, right? Between your background colors and your foreground colors. So this picker will let you pick colors that are going to pass for ADA. You'll know it when it has this little pass icon. So since it already picked colors, I'm just going to leave it, but you can always go into the color picker and it'll pull up a different variety of colors. You just want to make sure it always it has this pass icon here. So we'll leave that. Let's see. I'm going to change. I'm going to add this to all instances and add fix. Yes. Oh, come on. Let it change. No, I'm going to. Okay. So we're just going to apply fixes. Okay, yay, we got 100%. So a lot of it, to be honest with you, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of going through and just seeing what needs to be fixed, right? And just making those changes. But again, there's cases where if you're getting to a point where you have a lot of PDFs and things like that, I would and it's really not compliant, then you might want to consider taking some of that information from your PDF and maybe putting it in an HTML page and doing your remediations that way too. So that's something to think about if you don't want to lose your materials from a PDF. So we got 100% on this page. Now let's go back to our modules. Are there any questions up until this point? I would say it's fortunately, it is pretty straightforward. Sometimes you can run into some little, some snags, but just work through it. And if there are any issues that are just like, as far as system is concerned, definitely let us know, because it might be something that we need to send up to Panorama to find out what's going on. Okay, so this one is giving me, and this is a PDF. It's giving me a 0%, meaning that it could not score it at all, right? So I know I said we wouldn't go too deep into PDFs, but since we're here, let's take a look at it. I'm going to hit view. Okay. So basically what it means, the PDF is untagged, meaning it's not tagged for screen readers. So I'm going to select learn more too to see what the other description is or how it explains it even further. All right, so let's hit play.
The PDF is untagged. How to resolve untagged PDF issues. Untagged PDF issues occur when PDFs are generated from various file formats without selecting the Enable Tag setting. PDFs should be tagged to ensure conversions to accessible formats are more accurate. For Adobe Acrobat Pro users, navigate to Menu, scroll down to View, Show Hide, Side Panels, Accessibility Tags. Right-click No.
Okay. So basically what it's telling me is how to fix this, even though, now notice it didn't give me a fix button. Remember we talked about that. It might not, usually for PDFs and things like that, it's not going to necessarily give you, most of the times it won't give you a fix button. So you either need to do one of a few things, go back to the original file, which could be Word, whatever you did to PDF it, go back to that original source file, or you could take it into Adobe Acrobat, which all Maricopa employees have access to for free, and you can make changes there. I would just say, depending on how comfortable and how many changes, a case like this is going to be relatively simple. So I'm going to go in and we'll go to Acrobat, and just to show you how to access that. Hopefully you guys are you able to see Acrobat on my screen?
Yeah, and I'm glad you're doing this because I've never used it like at all, and I don't even know where to find it. So I'm really appreciative that you're doing this.
Not a problem. So what I would suggest, the way that you access it, I just went into my search and did Adobe Acrobat. But if you don't see it at all, then it might be an IT request. Or let's do this. Let me show you something else here. Okay. Oh, come on. Let's go here. Okay, what you can do to find out. So let's say you're at home and you want to do this from home. Maybe you're not on your work computer. You want to make sure you have it at home. Did it not? Okay, let me draw this again. So if you go to adobe.com, and I think because I'm already signed in, let me pull up an incognito window so you can actually see the true experience of logging in. Okay, can you guys see this screen, the black screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. So if I go to adobe.com and you sign in using your Maricopa credentials, just like you would on the computer. So if I do your MEID at maricopa.edu. So you're basically your student account. Continue. Okay. It's going to sign you in just like any other one of our enterprise systems. Okay, gotta do my dual. Okay. Okay. Yes. All right. So from here, you can either access it from the web. So you have, basically we have the Adobe Cloud Suite as employees. So if you're one that likes Photoshop, you know, Acrobat, Firefly, all these different options we have access to. So here's Acrobat. From this point, you can, especially if you're at home, you can download it from here. Or you can even do it, you can use the web version to do what you need to do. Personally, I'd rather download and have the app on my computer. But that is a way to access your Adobe Cloud Suite as a Maricopa employee. If you don't have access, then I would say you definitely want to put in an IT request to find out what's going on and why, because you should, as employees, have access to that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back into my Acrobat and I'm gonna open, actually, I need to download this file. Okay. Ay. Close out. Okay. We are going to download this file. Okay. Awesome. And now, okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. So basically what it's telling me is I need to tag this file, right? So it said, I now have to remember, I think it said go menu, I'm trying to go off of memory. Let me see what it said. So I forgot. Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm making you dizzy switching screens. I have to really remember where. Okay, let's see. I hope you guys help me remember. Okay, so menu, view, show, hide. Okay, let's see if I can remember. Okay, so we're gonna go into our menu, view, show, hide, side panels. It's a lot. Accessibility tags. I feel like there's an easier way, I'm sure. Oh, close. And it didn't do anything. Let's try this again. Did it do anything? Oh, let's see. Yikes. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. Okay. So it's saying no tags available. Okay. So if I right click and I can do auto tag, it should go through the document and tag it. And what tag means, I can't explain it 100%. I just know it has to do with, I believe it has to do with screen readers and how everything is, how it's viewed to students. Okay. So it tagged it. Basically, it's meaning that it's putting everything in its proper order. Okay, so now we have it tagged. I'm going to save this. Sure. We'll just save it back. Okay, save. Now what we can do is directly go back into our okay, so we're going to go back into our file. So instead of re-uploading it and then renaming it, we're just going to recreate, or we're going to replace this file right here. So if I select update document, I'm going to do choose from device, since we just made that change. I'm going to add this file, update. Now it's rescanning it to make sure I did what I was supposed to do. Oh, any day now. I don't know about you guys, but my system has been running pretty funky lately. Going slow. All right, let me close out of here. Okay, it's processing it, so it's still doing something in the background. Okay, because I have no patience. I'm gonna try to refresh and see if that does anything. Okay, so it's giving me a blue guy, meaning it's processing. Let's see if it lets me.
But this is like the new document you did by doing the
Yeah.
tagging, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is so weird because like visually it looks like exactly the same. So what is exactly
So
like
basically,
doing it?
and that's the part that I meant in the background, we had to add these tags to. So in here, when we went and did the auto tag, it didn't have
Right.
any of these tags. So basically, like the
Oh,
table tags, pair. So it has to be tagged so that it can function for assistive technologies. Basically,
okay.
all the stuff in the background, everything that we're
Oh,
doing,
okay.
all stuff in the background. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, that makes sense then. Thanks.
So no problem. So once we brought it back in, if it'll work, oh come on. I know they say patience is a virtue, but when you're doing a workshop, there is no patience. We want it to work. Okay. Why? At least let me redo it. Let's try to reprocess. I will say sometimes there are cases where it probably is reprocessing and it's going through the background. So what I'm gonna do while it thinks about it, we're gonna move on because I don't want to take up too much. I want to make sure I respect everyone's time. Okay, so while we'll check on this in a little bit. So now that let's say everything was 100%, and we're good to go. Now we want to see what our entire score is for the course. Now, mind you, okay, now there's the red icon. I'm sorry, I just can't let it go. Let me see if it's actually going to do it now. Maybe it will. Okay, 70%, really? Okay, let's view it. Okay, all right, so now it's telling me the document. So that's one thing, once it rescans, now it's telling me there's more issues with the document. It's saying it doesn't have any headings. So this is a reason why the thing about PDFs can be wonky when you're taking an existing PDF and trying to remediate it, because it can make you go back and forth. I personally would recommend using that original source file, whether it's a Word document, Google Doc, using the accessibility checkers that are built in in that software, and then once you've made sure it's accessible, then PDF it. But taking a PDF and trying to fix it can be very cumbersome at times, as we're seeing here. Because now it's telling me I need headers.
The document does not have any headings. How to resolve missing heading issues. Headings allow users to easily navigate your document and find the information they need. Please note that there are 2 ways to resolve missing heading issues for PDF. If you have exported your PDF from another file format, it's best to resolve the issue in the original format before exporting it.
Same thing they were saying.
You can also resolve the issue directly in the PDF using Adobe Acrobat Pro. For Adobe Acrobat Pro users, navigate to Menu, scroll down to View, Show Hide, Side Panels, and Accessibility Tags. Right-click on the tag you wish to use as a heading and select Properties. Change the heading tag type to heading level 6 or below.
Okay, so basically it's telling us we can go back into Adobe Acrobat and make heading changes here. I think it's in here, or I have to go back and look. But the thing about it is, for the sake of this purpose, I don't want to do all that. I just really want to show you how to navigate this. But again, even in the program, it said it's easier to go into that original source file. So just to show you that example of how you, in theory, you can make changes to PDFs, but sometimes it could be a little bit more challenging, which is why we kind of recommend trying to go around it as much as you possibly can, just for the sake of time. So we'll go ahead, and then also it's saying you don't want font size smaller than 9. You want to have at least 12-point font for it to be accessible. So I'm going to just say, you know what, we're going to not worry about this PDF right now. I want to show you guys, before we run out of time, how to see your whole score for the course. So if you notice, I don't have Panorama in my navigation. So I need to enable that so I could see what my score is. So if I go into my settings, Now mine might look slightly different than yours since I have admin access, but if I go into my settings and then navigation, this part should be the same, but I'm gonna select, I'm gonna enable Panorama. I'm gonna enable Panorama, and I'm gonna hit save. Okay, now it's gonna show me in my side navigation here. Okay, so if I go to Panorama, and in my case, ignore this because this is going to show everything. So let me narrow it down to just what we're looking for. Come on. You won't have to do this part. I have to do it because I'm the admin. Okay. So this is what you would see. It's going to show you everything for your course, right? Reprocess means if I made some changes and I want to rerun the course, it's going to go through everything to update your score. So if you're working through, let's say I didn't like my score and I had to make some fixes and I did, reprocess the course to see what your updated score is. I could pull reports. This is going to tell me my overall score, which is 70%. It's going to tell me the files processed. So all the things data-wise, if you like charts and graphs, it'll break it down by that. Tables. So in other words, how many PowerPoints, PDFs, etc. Me, there's nothing in here. I just have everything is web page, meaning those are the Canvas pages. But if I had other documents, which is weird, it didn't calculate the one that I had, it should show here. So it'll show me my files processed. And then it'll show me each individual item that needs remediation, right? So we have this PDF. We already knew this was a hassle because that's something that we were playing with. But everything else is 100%. So this is another quick way. And I can also make changes here just by selecting, same way, selecting the icon, going back into view, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see, it's going to tell me what the issues are, right? And this has to do with that PDF. The files remediated. So, which is kind of cool. It kind of tells you where you were to, your original score and what your current score is. So all the data that you want to know about your course is going to live here. Now, one thing I want to, I would recommend consider doing, and let me know how it works for you. But I would suggest as you're going through your courses, focus on things that your students are going to see, right? Like absolutely the most important thing is what your students see. Stuff that students won't see, I personally, again, either maybe not, I don't want to say not worry about it, maybe move that out of the course, or there's another feature if you don't want your score impacted. Because if you have stuff in the course that even the students don't see, it will still impact your score if you don't remediate them. Now, there is a feature that you can definitely try. I'm hoping that I haven't heard that it hasn't worked, but if under your course settings, there is a feature called ignore unpublished content. And if you leave that checked, then wait, I'm sorry. Okay, I will ignore documents disabled. Okay, so basically what this is saying is Panorama will score, it'll run a score on your course, but it won't grade items that are unpublished. So things that maybe you don't want to worry about at the moment, you only want things that students will see, you can keep that option in mind. So if you're running that and you want to make sure the score goes through, and if it doesn't work for whatever reason, let us know because we need to let Panorama know. But that is a way that you can bypass having to have every single item that's not visible to students not be flagged, if that makes any sense. And actually that's the gist of it. That is the gist of it. Are there any questions or anything that you would like to, that's any concerns? Yeah, I'm gonna open up the floor.
Thanks, Najma. This part was really helpful. The part where you were like walking us through like the Panorama settings because I like how like everything's you can see all the problems all at once.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was just playing around with my Canvas course. And I think I'm going to take your suggestion because there's like a lot of files that I know I just put there to support the students, but it's not necessarily stuff I use. I think I'm just going to like take them out.
I totally recommend that, Sharon, because again, why make it harder on yourself, right? If it's something that's not, of course, if it's necessary, but if it's stuff that's more supplemental and nice to have, I would just say for the sake of getting through this until we start to really feel more comfortable as a system, I would say take it out, move it or something. Yeah, I would. Rosalind, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, Najma, thank you. I was thinking the same thing that Sharon was thinking. However, I was also thinking about just having, just having, can't, like you were doing, you can kind of correct it, but why not just rewrite them? You
When
know
you
what I
say,
mean? Like having Panorama, or when they make the correction, like what would their suggestion be? What
sure.
would their accessibility suggestion be?
Absolutely. Well, that's what I say. If you can, whenever it gives you the option to fix the issue right there, by all means, go for it. I would, my only caution is when it comes to those external files though, like your PDFs, your PowerPoints, you know what I mean? Those you just want to be cautious of because then you'll, like we saw, you have to download them and you make the changes in an external, which by all means go for it if you feel comfortable in doing. But then it gets into a thing where is it worth your time, right? Is there another solution to accomplishing the same goal without having to go through all the extra steps? So again, that's totally your call as a designer and as an instructor, but just some things to be aware of too. But yeah, if you have the fix button, listen, I fix if I could do the whole thing with the fix button, definitely, absolutely.
And thank you, Najma. One more thing. When will this recording be available for us?
Oh, you know what? It takes a little bit. It should be today. Well, it should be ready. It should process today. We have to go through putting it on our YouTube channel and da 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 da. So it might take a
Okay.
day or two. Shouldn't take too long. Yeah.
Okay. Will you send it out to us, please?
Yep. Sure can. Sure
Okay.
can.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Najma.
My pleasure. Is there
Najma,
any
thank you for
other?
the practical points. Some of them, especially that the things that students need, we will focus them first, and
Yes.
we'll try working on them now. I think probably practice will make us much better. But thank you.
For sure. Absolutely. My pleasure. Um, yeah, well, I'm glad this is helpful. And again, if you have any questions or anything that's acting weird, because sometimes it does, I will say sometimes it could take a while to process. You might see, although it's getting better, I've noticed that the system is getting better. But there have been times where I work on remediating things and it's not sticking. I'm like, what is going on? So I think it was just more of a system lag time. So if you notice something like that, and after you've reprocessed and it's the next day and it's still not updating scores, then definitely let us know. But it could sometimes it does take a while, especially at the beginning of, I think it's a lot like Canvas as far as the LMS, where I don't know if you notice at the beginning of the semester when everybody's importing over, there could be a delay in imports. I think it's very similar to that, where sometimes it might take a little bit of time to refresh. But if it's anything that's extensive, by all means, let us know. We can get that escalated.